Hello, and welcome to Permission to Be Pretty podcast. I am Dr. Unique Simpson, and here is where we talk all things giving ourselves permission to be powerful, real, emotional, transparent, teachable, and unique. Unique with a Y, I might add. Anyway, I pray that you all are well, that you had an opportunity to listen at least to the last episode, and that you are enjoying the podcast thus far. Now, I had to prepare myself for this topic, and as always, I am grateful for the time to actually sit and ponder before I just begin speaking. Today, I want to discuss giving ourselves permission to be unique. Wow, unique. My name, which I have learned to be grateful for, and I am learning daily what it actually means and the weight that comes with it. With that being said, I want to clue you all in on the direction I'm going to go in with this particular topic, the topic of being unique. Typically, when we hear that, we think, be yourself, be you. Give yourself permission to be you, to be authentic, to be real, of course, and just all things unique. I want to tell you on today that being unique will cost you everything. Everything. There is nothing pretty or comfortable, for a while at least, about it if we're being real. Because as much as we like to think that we have given ourselves permission to be different, to be unique, to be authentic, I want you to ask yourself, do you really? When you are in a crowd, are you comfortable with being different, or do you try to fit in? When you are speaking to a person or to a group of people, if your opinion is different than everyone else's, are you bold with your opinion? Or do you shy away from having a different perspective? If your authenticity rubs others the wrong way, are you bold with your authenticity, or do you hide in the crowd? If the friends that you have today were or have been your friends for years, since childhood or whatever, and you find yourself growing in another direction, are you comfortable with letting them go? If who you are, if who God is molding, shaping, growing, and evolving, maturing you to be is vastly different than the way that you were raised, do you give yourself permission to go with God, or do you choose comfort? If you are in a relationship and God is calling you higher, expanding your knowledge and wisdom in Him, and of the world and in the world. Is it easier for you to hide than to speak up? See, I want to talk about the authenticity that is not popular, that is not liked, that is reviled, that is hated. What makes you amazing yet different? Do you hide your power to let others shine? Do you sit with God when He calls you to a higher place in Him, or calls you to do things that you have not seen done before? He uses you or desires to use you in a manner that is foreign to you because you have not seen it before. You have not heard it before. Do you shy away? Do you say yes and then take it back? Are you afraid of your uniqueness? Are you afraid that your uniqueness will cause you to be shunned, will cause you to lose more than you will gain? This is the uniqueness that I'm talking about. I think many of us have heard of scarlet letters. And when you hear me say that I've learned to love my name, at first it was just, I guess it was cool. It was the name that every time I had to share it with someone new, they would follow up with a joke. Oh, that's unique. Disclaimer, I may shed a tear or two. I had no idea what being unique would cost me. I'm talking, of course, and it's also forcing me to reflect on all that I have lost because of my uniqueness, my boldness, my power, the thing or things about me that people admire or desire, and they have no clue the cost. I'd like to think that if I were not unique, if I went along with the flow, I would not have lost so much. I would not have lost people. I would have been more liked. I would have been more accepted. Being unique will cost you everything. This is what I want to talk about. I want you to reflect. I want you to sit and think. I want you to sit with yourself. And I want you to think of all of the ways that you have hidden your uniqueness, your authenticity, the authentic you that God has created, because it is easier to be liked, it is easier to be accepted, it's easier to stay in the marriage or to stay in the relationship, it's easier to keep the friends, it's easier. when God calls us to be unique, the world will think you're strange. And I used to say, and I guess I still do, I'd rather be strange to people and peculiar to God, because peculiar to God is the blessing. And it's okay that people may find me strange. But hmm, the backlash, I'll say, can be choking, can leave you gutted, can leave you hanging on for dear life. But such is life. I can tell you that it is not a one-time thing. Giving yourself permission to be unique, giving yourself permission to be powerful, real, emotional, transparent, teachable, unique. It's not a one time thing, it's a lifelong commitment, a daily commitment. I have a fellow leader who, when she greets me or whatever, she always says, "Have a wonderful day on purpose." Permission to be all of these wonderful things must be purposeful. I purpose to live in my power, to live in my realness, to tap into my emotions, to be transparent, to teach and to be taught, and to be unique. Nowadays, when you look on the television, when you look on social media, everyone's looking alike. You can go have surgery, and people are now shaped alike, dressing alike, features looking alike. There's some kind of a beauty standard that was erected, I don't know when, and now you have people paying to meet that standard, when it is our uniqueness that separates us. I don't want to look like someone else. I want to love me. I don't believe that I was meant to look like everyone. One of my children, in her wisdom, said, "What if we were never supposed to see as much as we see? What if we weren't supposed to be privy to all that our eyes can now see and is now causing us to think we must alter ourselves to be accepted?" I always say to stay in the face and at the feet of Jesus, yet we are in the face and at the feet of social media and a vast population of people that we are watching and studying and learning from, instead of finding out who we are, why we have been created, and for what purpose we are to serve. I'm going off on a tangent just a little bit, but we were we saw someone. There's someone who I saw, I don't know her personally, but I saw them, and I'm sure many of you can attest to this. But I saw a mother who clearly has had surgery, plastic surgery, right? And her child that she birthed looks like her, but it's kind of odd because although she looks like her, she doesn't look like her. And what we have realized is that she looks like her mother prior to her mother having work done. So then, because the mother has altered herself instead of living in the uniqueness of her features, what message does that send to her daughter? It sends the message that the features that you have, that I once had, were not good enough for me. And so now what does the daughter do? Break the cycle and be secure in who she is when the person that birthed her, that carried her in her womb and birthed her, was not happy with herself in looking like that. So now is mama happy with me? This is food for thought, because then if we alter ourselves, say it's not about our looks, but when we alter our behaviors or the things that make us unique, the things that make us powerful, the things that make us authentic and God's dear sons and daughters and his beloved, I'm sorry. When we alter ourselves, do we then teach our children to alter themselves? Or those who look up to us in general? Are we sending a message that who you are is not good enough? One of my babies, she loves to talk. She loves to talk. And sometimes, in the hustle and bustle of my life, I don't always want to hear her just talking and talking and talking. But in my maturity, as a parent, as a woman, as a leader, as a person, I've learned to let her talk. I've never not let her talk. I want to make that clear. I've learned to be comfortable with it. She doesn't have to alter who she is. Perhaps I need to alter who I am because I'm her mother. God trusts me with her. And so if I shut her down or tell her to be quiet or you're talking too much, I potentially be shutting down her destiny. Not just a moment in time because I don't want to hear what she has to say. And so now I've put her in pageants and I encourage her speaking. And hey, for me, it's you need to learn a few different languages and you need to hone in on this gift. Who knows who she will become? Many of us, I'm sure, have the same story of, well, I was this bubbly and bright child, or I was this, or I was that, or I was inquisitive, and they told me that I talked too much. They told me that I did too much. They told me to get somewhere and sit down. And now I'm an adult who is unsure of who I am because I was essentially taught that who I am gets on people's nerves. As women, excuse me, we are conditioned to let men shine. We are conditioned that we are to be quiet and pretty, care for the home, care for the children, but essentially be out of sight, out of mind, not to be too loud, not to be too bold. We're told that that's not ladylike. We're told that when we are sure of ourselves and bold and Perhaps we have to be forceful sometimes. I don't know. That we are now masculine. But then they tell us that we must be strong, particularly Black women. We are strong. I'm a strong Black woman. I'm a woman. I know I'm going off on a tangent here a little bit, but I have pure disdain for the term strong Black woman, because what it says is that we, one, have to take everything that is put on us, that we are strong enough, um, and that we don't have permission to be soft, to be weak. Trying to think of where I want to go here because there's so much that I can say. I know I was speaking to someone and telling her that you don't have to be strong right now. You just have to not quit. Because if I'm strong, as they say, then why would I need God? God's strength is made perfect in my weakness, and we need to, as women, give ourselves permission to be weak so that God's strength can be made perfect, so that God's strength can show up in us, for us, through us, and around us. We need permission to just be women, soft and gentle. Instead, the world wants us to be forceful and on guard and fighters, warriors, but then they tell us we're doing too much. So that's another topic for another time. Be unique, but know that it will cost you if you are truly being unique. I like this scripture. When I first got started in ministry and in life, right, I wanted God to make me great, make my name great. I want the world to see. I was an orphan when I was 16 years old, I think 15 actually. My mother told me that, my biological mother, she wrote me a letter, pages long letter, told me I would never be anything. I would never, I don't even want to go into it, but basically, I felt like she cursed me. I remember crying myself to sleep and whatever. At this time, I was an orphan. I was in foster care. I guess I upset her because whatever. And she wrote me pages long letter just degrading me. And I'll never be anything. I'll never have this. I'll never have that. And so then when God called me, and she wasn't the only one in my life who has said things like this, right? So then when God called me, I felt, oh yeah, God is going to make me great. Everyone's going to see me. Everyone who talked about me, everyone who said anything bad, my mother's going to look up and she's going to see me, and I'm going to be so great, and I'm going to have so many people, and I'm over that. I've grown, I've evolved. Man, I matured. I said to God, I remember saying to him, God, make my name great. Whoo, in this process, I know I've shared this story with some people before, and I've said he took me straight to hell and said, this is where greatness is birthed, honestly, it's where it starts. Um, and everything that He has taken me through. If you listen to the last episode, I talked about how I was trying to celebrate an accomplishment, and the Lord said to me, "This is not about you." I've since come to know Luke 6:26. The scripture says, "Woe unto you when everyone speaks well of you, for that is how their ancestors treated the false prophets." Again, I could go into a whole nother subject, go off on a tangent here, so I'm going to try not to do that. But I will say that popularity does not make you unique. I have learned in this walk, people can smile in your face on Sunday and spit in your face by Monday. People will put you on a pedestal, and the moment they find fault or the wind blows, they will kill you trying to take you down off of there. And so essentially, I'm just saying that my desire at one point in my life to be liked, to be followed, to have a great following, yeah, I don't care about that anymore. I do desire to be effective, to make an impact. The ministry, my mission is to leave our footprint in the earth, to personally leave my footprint in the earth, one person at a time. Before I became a preacher, teacher, all things apostle, prophet, I used to mime, if you are familiar with that. It's kind of like praise dancing, your face is painted. And I used to mime, and I used to kind of travel miming. And I remember being invited to mime, to minister in this way at a church function. And this particular church, I think it was new to them. They enjoyed it, I suppose, but it was new to them. I didn't really get any feedback, right? This particular form of ministering at that particular time was fairly new. I know it's common now, but it was fairly new. There were not too many people doing this at that time. Typically, there was a praise team, a choir, this church denomination, you sang hymns, right? So miming at this time was unique. And I went to this function. I performed. I suppose it went well. Again, I don't remember really receiving feedback from the audience, which was quite a few people. But I remember leaving that first night, and the gentleman who had come in, I'm sorry, off of the street and just kind of sat there and watched and participated in the service. And I do remember as I was ministering, he was thoroughly engaged. And when I was leaving, he stopped me and said, "You really blessed me. You really blessed me." And so I think of being unique like this. Perhaps the masses will not get it. Perhaps everyone will not fall in love with you for your uniqueness. It may go over the heads of some. It may cause some to have a real disdain for you. It may not cause you to be likable. You might not draw a whole lot of people because you don't indulge in cliches or tickling the ears of people, pacifying and petting people. Your uniqueness may require boldness and doing something that is not common, operating in a way that is not familiar. But then reaching someone, one who you would least expect to reach, perhaps one that has stumbled into your life, into your path on accident, if it if you want to see it as an accident, because I know that God makes no mistakes. You might lose everything. You might lose more than you gain on this side of heaven. You might cry, you might hurt, you might ache, but don't quit. You become comfortable with your uniqueness. Don't concern yourself with trying to make everyone else comfortable with you. Be bold. And no matter what happens, no matter what the fallout is, you commit to being unique. Because even without saying a thing, there's someone who's watching. Giving yourself permission to be unique gives others permission to be unique. When you rob yourself of that power, of your uniqueness, you are potentially robbing someone else of theirs, someone who's watching you. Give yourself permission. Learn to embrace every so-called flaw. Who says that a flaw is a flaw anyway? What if what you consider to be a flaw is actually normal, and everyone else who doesn't have that supposed flaw are the ones who are flawed? Anyway, I pray that this episode blesses you, empowers you, motivates you. I pray it makes sense. Do not hide who you are. Do not hide who you are. Not only to make yourself comfortable, I guess, but to make others comfortable. Give yourself permission to be unique. But if you do it correctly, it will cost you. Until next time, I love you. God loves you most.